investment plan that is tailored just for you. So visit our website at raymondjames/partners financial group or call our office at 770-834-4455.
National headlines and the local stories you care about. WLBB, Carrollton, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us on this beautiful morning, and we're very pleased as we again kind of mark the 200th anniversary of Carroll County. But today we're doing it by inviting into studio Wesley Berninger, director of the Pine Mountain Gold Museum in Villa Rica at the Stockmar Park. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Good to have you. I really appreciate you coming in. Before we get all things Pine Mountain Gold Museum, because I don't have a bio on you, give me a little bit about your background and how you got into this position.
So, believe it or not, I'm 3 days away from being 10 years in the position.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Before I came up here, I was a park ranger in Florida. And had to leave the Park Service down there and just shifted into this, and it actually is a perfect fit. So they lucked out getting me, and I lucked out doing something that I was already doing, really enjoyed. So
do you enjoy being a park ranger? I think that's kind of like the ideal job.
It's an experience. So it's if as long as you don't have to live independently.
Yeah,
it's a great job. You can barely feed yourself, but it's one of those jobs that you have. You pay the love tax to have the job, but it's the greatest job I've ever had in my entire life.
We pay a lot of love tax in radio.
Yeah, I bet.
But anyway, well, congratulations. So you've been here as director for a decade now, and before that, you were still associated with the city, right?
I was not. Yeah,
okay.
I was in Florida right up until I came up here.
Okay, so 10 years with the city then.
Yeah.
Okay, and now director. Like I said, as we kind of mark the 200th anniversary of Carroll County, we're looking at a little bit of history. And before we kind of get into the day-to-day operations of the museum, I understand there's a little bit of a question as far as where gold was first discovered in Georgia.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, sadly, mistakenly, think Dahloneg's the place, but that's not true. Villa Rica is correct?
It is. That is true. Dahlonega has got a really good claim to the first gold rush, and it's a little semantic is what it is. And the history is that basically the gold that's being mined here prior to the formation of the counties and prior to 1829 it's basically done illegally, right? So the gold mining rights the Indians are being removed. Mm-hmm. This is all taking place in the background of Indian removal, right?
And that was one reason they were removed, wasn't it?
That's going to be one of the big reasons, right? Yeah. And so there's a time period where this is all taking place, and you're moving people out. New people are moving in, you're forming counties, and so there's an administrative process that's happening. And so mineral rights are being held by the state. So if people are mining on the land in this time period before the counties are formed, all of those mineral rights belong to the state of Georgia, which means if you go out there and you find a bunch of gold, that reverts back to the state. Mm-hmm. So the folks that are out there mining keep their mouths shut. They're not telling people what they're finding. They're not producing a lot of records. They're not drawing detailed maps of where the mines are located and things like that. Technically, that's all illegal mining, right? Well, counties get formed by 1829. They're finding gold up in Dahlonega as well. I'm certain, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that they knew it was already up there too. But property rights have changed. The way the property rights work have changed, and so now they can go on to the top of the nearest mountain and shout about their discovery as much as they want. And it's not going to be automatically taken away by the state or subsumed by the state. So it's a semantic issue. So if you want to be very precise, Dahlonega is the first legal gold rush in Georgia, but sorry guys, we found it first. I mean, it was definitely us.
So, but to kind of cement that, if you will, is the fact that once they had extracted the gold from Villa Rica, they moved to Dahlonega, did they not?
Sure. So your gold miner is kind of a creature. It sounds terrible to say this, but it's kind of a lazy creature, and it'll follow the path of least resistance every time. So you're finding gold here in this area, and the gold is super high quality, so it's definitely worth mining. But it's difficult. It's always been more difficult to get out of the ground, even in the early days. And so when they start finding bigger nuggets and bigger flake in creeks up near Dahlonega, the miners just go up there where it's easier to get. And you see this over and over and over again in history. When out in Sutter's Mill in California, when they start finding gold nuggets the size of your thumb, some of the guys that are working in mines in Georgia quite literally set their tools down on the ground, walk off the job, and go straight to California. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing happens in California when the easy gold is found and they're into hydraulic mining and hard rock mining, things like that. Those guys will go on to South Africa and Australia where there's strikes where the gold is laying right out on the ground.
Yeah. Let's take our first break, and we'll be back with more, and we're going to continue a little bit with the history with Wesley. But first, this word from our sponsor.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care, where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Good morning, welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Radick, your host. Wesley Berninger, director of the Pine Mountain Gold Museum, is in studio, and we're very happy to have him here. We're talking about the history of the Gold Mine Museum, Pine Mountain Gold Museum, and mining gold there. But before we kind of move on to the museum itself, we were talking about the extraction and going to California, South Africa eventually. What was the main mechanism? Panning, I assume, or how did they mine this gold? I mean, this was back in the 1820s?
Yeah, and at our site, you've got two distinct eras of mining. The first one is a placer mining era, and it's all manual. Every last bit of it is manual labor. It's mechanical extraction. You're crushing rock. You're panning things out. It's all done by hand. Later, there's an era of cyanide mining. And they use cyanide to leach the gold out of the rock after it's been processed. It's a chemical process more than there's still mechanical processes because you have to crush all the rock, but it works through chemistry. Cyanide actually has an affinity for gold and will liquefy it. And so you can use that trick of chemistry to get the gold out of the rock, but it requires you to crush tons and tons and tons of rock. And, of course, every bit of that process is cyanide. I mean, it's deadly poisonous.
What was the miner like? Did they get rich, or are they just some old guy that was hoping to get rich?
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is the worldwide history of mining, most of the time miners themselves never get rich. The people that get rich are the people that are selling material to the miners. And that actually happens here in Villa Rica. The people that get really wealthy off the mines are the folks in town, or what was the town then, that are selling shovels and buckets and ladders and things like that. They're the ones that really profit off of mining, especially when you're dealing with mines here that are so, the gold is really high quality, but it's super difficult to get out of the ground. So
we'll take a moment to, we call it now Stockmar Park, but what is the history? How did the town develop? Did the mine have a big influence on the development of Villa Rica?
I would say that probably without Stockmar, the family themselves, that entire part of the city there would have been much slower development. And the reason I say that is because they didn't just do mining. They also ran the Flying S Ranch at a later time period, and they also employed huge amounts of people from the community. So they're injecting a lot of capital into the town. With their different enterprises out there, they've had an airport out there. They've had the Flying S Ranch, Dude Ranch out there. They've had the mining facilities out there, the cowboy shows, and all of this other stuff. And all of that brings people to the community, but it also provides a lot of jobs. So there's a kind of a trajectory that goes through that. And we have a display out there that talks about this, like land use over time, where it starts out with this gold mining and really kind of ends up in this Mirror Lake real estate boom kind of in the 90s, 2000s.
Now, but there's still gold in that mine, right?
100%. The mountain does have gold still on it. I've found it myself. I know it's there.
Let's go get it. Why can't we just go get it?
Too difficult to get out of the ground. So the gold is finer than baby powder, and in order to get it out, you have to crush tons and tons of rock, like 60-something tons of rock for every ounce of gold. And we did the math one time before, and this is all pre-inflation, everything else, but for every dollar of gold you'd get out of the ground, you'd spend at least 17. So it's just not profitable. But
well, we have some advertisers that say that day will come, however. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, if gold goes to, that's my joke. I tell it to everybody. If gold goes to $30,000 an ounce tomorrow, the city will make me bulldoze that museum, and I'll be a gold miner instead of a.
I think it's $4,000 to $5,000 right now.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's quite possible. Maybe not in my lifetime, but at some point. So the Native Americans who were there, they knew that gold was there, but they didn't value it the same way that the miners and the settlers did.
Correct. It's more of an ornamentation thing prior to European contact. It's European contact. Gold is used it's a commodity. It's not decoration, something like that.
Now Stockmar I saw a picture of a house. It was all rock.
Yes.
What's the story on that?
The Stockmar family house the ruins of the house are still on the site, and is built entirely out of stone, all local stone, all stuff taken out of the mines and then local. Kind of had grown organically, so it looked a little strange, but it certainly would have been the largest house on that end of town, and it's crazy how many times that somebody will come into the museum and they'll be telling me a story, but they remember their interaction with the Stockmar family, and they talk about the house and that the image of the house and how interesting the house was and how it had grown organically is something that sticks in a lot of people's minds. They're talking about their childhood, being out there at the Flying S Ranch or going out there to fish and be on the lake.
And what was that? Dodgy Stockmar, or was that the father?
He was the adopted son.
He was
correct.
the adopted son?
Yeah.
So there's like 2 or 3 generations of family there?
Absolutely, yeah. 3 generations for sure.
3 generations. So the gold mining started in the 1820s, and it lasted how long?
I mean, depending on your point of view, technically I would say we're still mining out there today, but commercial gold mining is over right around World War I, and that's because of the chemical processes that are required to sustain those operations. When we get into World War I, the people on Earth that are making chemicals at that industrial size, it's all Germany. And so when we go to war with Germany, that's the end of us buying massive amounts of chemicals for them that we can use for industrial process.
Really?
Yeah, and those mines, they are not played out by any means stretch of the imagination, but you would have to, in order to make them profitable, it would be an operation that you would not soon forget. And of course, using cyanide in these processes, we have something in the United States called the EPA, right? And so if we were to go out there and start pouring cyanide all over the ground and mercury
Georgia
all over
EPD.
Right, they would, every bit of that would be
the cyanide,
totally
of course,
illegal.
is a deadly toxin.
Absolutely deadly chemical.
Yeah.
It is an organic compound. So after about 36 hours, it breaks down in the environment. So all of the cyanide that's ever been used out there on the site has broken down. The site is totally safe. But part of that process on the other end of it uses mercury. And mercury, of course, will outlast
How
all of us.
How deep did the mine go?
We don't know.
What do you mean? Well, what do you mean?
We don't know. There's no records of exactly the location of all of the mines. We don't know. We don't know where all of the drifts are.
Really?
So yeah, this operation that was the big mine, the cyanide mines in the later years, they're big holes in the ground. You can see them. They're about 60 feet deep. The main pit is about 60 feet deep.
Right.
But the other smaller mines from the earlier time period, the placer era, we'll never even know where they were all located because none of that was ever recorded. None of it was ever written down.
You're kidding. So, do we know how many people died mining gold in Villa Rica?
We don't. There's a miners' cemetery out there on the Mirror Lake.
Holy moly! There's a cemetery?
There is, and it's a small cemetery, and the miners' graves are marked with field stones. And the Stockmar family is buried out there in that cemetery as well. They wanted to be close to the site. And Dodgy's out there too. But yeah, we'll never know exactly. And there's a lot of stories that circulate around the mines too of the problem with a lot of those stories is you get into ghost story territory, right?
Mm-hmm. Was there any connection between the gold mine and Coca-Cola? I think I remember seeing the storage somehow.
Yeah, I don't know about that specifically,
Yeah.
whether Candler or any of the rest of them had money in the mines or
Right.
or were part owners or not. That I don't know.
Who was the biggest owner of the mines?
Oh, well, that we can prove is Stockmar.
Really?
Yeah, his name's on it. So
Okay.
yeah, but in the placer era, when you think about the mines, we tend to think about mines in a modern sense, where it's a corporate-owned entity, big trucks, heavy industry, and things like that. And those early mines are just not like that. So the miners that are mining out there are guys that live in town. Mm-hmm. And it's not their number one job to be a miner, like it would have been in the cyanide era where you hired a miner who came in and did the specific process. The guys in the placer era, the very early years, are farmers or the local blacksmith. And so what happens is when he has downtime or he doesn't have a project that he has to finish or something he has to make, then he goes out there where he knows there's mining going on and he's a miner for a couple weeks. Or maybe the weather's bad, right? And they go out there and they mine, and it supplements their other jobs.
And you mentioned ghost stories. Any stories about fights over gold or thievery?
There's stories about
shootings or anything?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Really?
There's a story about one of the mines actually flooding because the men were too busy. They had left somebody to watch steam pumps on a mine, keeping water out of it. The guy watching the pump hears a fight, and so he goes to join the fight where all of his buddies are, leaves the pump unattended, and they end up with a flooded mine that they have to, lots and lots of stories like that. But again, almost none of that is written down anywhere. It's not recorded in.
Yeah.
And who would have been recording it at the time, right? No one would think to be a historian and write all that down.
Sure.
And have your notation in a modern kind of scholarly way.
Well, let's take another break and we'll come back, and this time we'll talk about the museum and all that entails with that. We'll be back with more after this.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care, where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Grady, your host. Wesley Berninger, director of the Pine Mountain Gold Museum, is in studio. We're talking all things gold. And we're talking about the museum. When did the museum start up? And give us a little, for those who haven't been out there, tell us, just give us a general description about the Mountain Gold
The
Museum.
operation itself is about 20 years old. We've added major features as we've gone along. So the original facility was basically almost a trailer with some artifacts in it on the back of the mountain, and the city invested in it to actually build a building, and then it's kind of grown over time. So we've just completed, in fact, this January, we just completed a massive multi-year rebuild of the entire inside of the building. All new display cases, all new galleries, wiring, lighting, electrical, the whole bit, to kind of bring it into a more modern
Yeah, there's a lot of
museum
technology
feel to
these
it.
days.
Right. Yeah. So, but also to better manage the actual artifacts and things that we have in the building too. So we've got a responsibility to the stuff of the museum, as well as not only bringing people in to see it. So we have to make sure that we can store and display everything safely and properly as well.
Yeah, I think you said you have a staff of 4.
Correct.
So when's the museum open?
We're open 10 to 4 Tuesdays through Saturdays. We're closed on Mondays and Sundays. And then we do have special events later in the year which change our hours. We do a large event in October. Everyone remembers it as Ghost Train. It's been rebranded since then for legal reasons. That's a very complicated story. And then we do a winter event where we decorate the entire place with lights in December, and that changes our regular hours too. But if anyone follows Facebook at all, they go there. All of that normal operational times and everything else are listed right there for live.
It says here it's 4,800 square feet, which is pretty sizable.
Yep, correct. And then the park itself is exactly 30 acres. So not only are we managing a museum and all of the things that go along with that, we're also managing 30 acres of forest.
Because you have trails.
Correct. And the forest is become more important in terms of green space because we are now completely surrounded on all 4 sides by some kind of development. So on that end of the county, on that end of the city, we're kind of the last major green space that has trails and things like that you can visit.
Surrounded by development.
Yeah, we're talking, lowercase d development, not uppercase D development. It's not like they built a data center next door or something like that. But it's, we've got the small little regional airport behind us, and we're right next to the golf course. And we have a good relationship with our neighbors. I don't want to sound like I'm casting aspersions against Mirror Lake or whatever. We get along really well with them. But those are not forested areas anymore.
You've got a theater too, correct?
The theater has been changed. This is one of the things that we updated in our last go round. So we had a large theater, sat about 70 something people, but the film that we played in there was not. It needed to be updated.
Sure.
So it needed to be made ADA accessible. So we've taken the film and we're going to add subtitles to it. And we're actually taking that and we're putting it inside the galleries. So it's smaller pieces. Mm-hmm. People don't quite have the attention spans that they used to. So it's smaller amounts of information that we're giving them. And then we'll have subtitles with it. So you'll be able to see everything you used to see. It'll just be in more easy to digest pieces.
So I assume the parade of young kiddos in classrooms is ongoing.
Ongoing, yeah.
Can they pan themselves? Can they get that hands-on
Absolutely. So we do, mostly with school groups, we do the gemstone panning, and that's because to do a gold pan takes about 15 minutes, and frankly, just the truth of the matter is that most people don't have younger people don't have the attention span for it.
I think it's 90 seconds.
Maybe, yeah. But you get an immediate reward with the gemstone pans, and that seems to work with them. So we do that mostly with our big groups. But anybody can go out there and do gemstone panning. We want to teach techniques, so we're keeping that history alive by sitting down with you and actually physically showing you how it's done. It's less about getting rich and more about learning how they did it.
So you've got a grist mill and a water wheel.
Correct.
Do you still have the train?
The train is still out there. the track is a 1 mile track. It's a 24-inch train, so it's a small gauge train. But that's by far the most popular thing with the kids right there. Is sometimes you can't get them to pay attention to anything but the train. So,
What's the age limit on the train?
none. We don't have an age limit.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. Just checking.
Yep. No.
But
If you can fit on the seat, we'll take you around.
so if someone wants to bring a class or bring a group, how should they go about?
All they have to do is call us and make a reservation, and we'll get them on the calendar.
Well, we mentioned about your earlier career in Florida, but I understand this is on the National Register of Historic Places.
It is.
What does that mean for Villa Rica?
So that gives it a certain amount of legal protection in terms of the property itself. The building is not what is registered. It's the site and the industrial history associated with it that's registered.
Okay. So that's pretty unique, isn't it? That's
It is.
pretty significant.
It is. It is.
Is that recent, or did y'all just...
No, that actually, all of that paperwork, all of that filing, and the award of the certification, that all happened before I got here. That's probably 20 years old at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If someone came to visit, what kind of amount of time would you recommend that they allocate? 30 minutes, an hour to really enjoy it?
That's an interesting question because we've structured it, and so we have so much going on out there. So we have the museum, we have the train, we have the panning, we have the trails, we have bird watching, we have a garden out there. People have so many different interests. What we've tried to do is structure it so that you don't have to do everything. You can pick and choose what you want to do. And that gives people the power when they come out there to decide, well, maybe I want to ride the train but not do the museum. And so some people can be out there for their lunch break and use the resource. And some people can be there all day. We have people that'll go out there and they'll literally do every single thing, and we have people that are gone after 45 minutes. And we're trying not to force people into a box that they have to comply with in terms of, a program that we give them. We're trying to let your wishes, what you want to do, guide what you do when you get out there to us.
What's the admission price?
It's $8 to get into the museum. We have a discount for first responders and things like that. Train is $8 a ticket. And then panning depends on what you want to do. Gold is a little bit more expensive for obvious reasons. And then we've got different sizes of gemstone pans and things that you can do out there. You get more stuff, the price goes up. It's pretty straightforward. It's not...
A lot of opportunity for photographs, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
we can always tell when prom is nearby, because suddenly in the afternoon there's just dozens and dozens of people in pretty dresses and tuxedos walking around taking pictures in front of all the trees and all the rocks and the brickwork and the ruins and everything. And it's one of the most photogenic places I've ever seen. And I'm from Florida, and I think it's pretty. So.
Okay, well, I won't elaborate on that comment, but I imagine it's a pretty fun job.
It is. It has its moments. I'm not going to lie to you, but I do enjoy it.
Okay,
for sure.
That's good. So, if people want to learn more, website, phone number, what?
The best way is to go to our Facebook page.
Okay.
That's how we talk to the world. And most of the information on there is live or within the last, say, 24, 48 hours. All of the phone numbers on there link directly to us, and that's how you make reservations.
Everybody in Carroll County and surrounding counties ought to at least go one time.
Sure, yeah. Especially now that we've done all the renovations, because if you haven't been in the last, say, year and a half, 2 years, you won't recognize the place.
Or maybe even longer.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome to come on out there.
Okay, good.
I'd love to have you.
Well, thank you. Wesley Berninger has been our guest this morning, director of the Pine Mountain Gold Museum. If you haven't been there at Stockmar Park, you need to go. Take the whole family, take a class, take a crowd out there. It's a wonderful experience, and it's not very far.
Yep.
And we want to thank you for listening to the Community Voice here on WLBB. Go out and make it a great day. God bless our troops. WLBB, Carrollton.